The producers and distributors of Tech AV technical training aids welcome you to video program number 2 in the Shielded Metal Arc Welding series. In this program, you will learn to identify and describe the hazards associated with SMAW procedures. After this, you will learn about the personal protective equipment that should be used when performing arc welding. Let us begin with the hazards of arc welding. There are basically 4 hazards of which you must be aware, namely electric shock, eye flash, also called retinal burn, arc burn, and toxic fumes and gas. Let's look at the precautions that a welder must take in order to reduce the risk of electrocution whilst operating the equipment. There are 2 sources of possible electric shock, the first being from the primary or input side of a system. The second source of shock is from the secondary or output side. Primary electrical shock is lethal, owing to the high voltages involved. To reduce the chance of primary electric shock, do the following. Connect your machine to the incoming power mains only when you are ready to use the machine. Do not switch the power on until all other preparations have been made and you are ready to begin welding. Never remove the covers from the machine and never attempt any electrical repairs yourself. Call a qualified electrician for this work. Let us now look at the risk of electric shock from the secondary circuit. Although the voltage from the secondary side is low, somewhere between 50 to 80 volts, a shock from this side can result in serious injury, even death. Make sure that all equipment is dry. Any electrical apparatus is extremely dangerous when wet. Always wear proper safety shoes or boots, and never work barefooted. Wherever possible, stand on an insulated surface such as rubber matting or wooden duckboards. Connect the work lead to a good clean metal surface, either on the workpiece or to the welding bench. Ground leads that are attached to the workbench must make good electrical contact. Paint and rust must be removed before connecting to ensure a good return path. When replacing an electrode into the holder, make sure that you don't contact the work with your body. Contact between the electrode and the work, or ground, especially if you are damp or sweaty, will result in the output current passing through your body. When welding on a large structure, always keep the ground clamp as close as possible to the point of welding. Do not use welding leads that are in a poor condition, especially where there is damage to the outer insulation. Do not use an electrode holder if the insulation is damaged or missing, as this will increase the risk of electric shock. Let us turn our attention to the hazard of eye flash. Besides heat being created at the electrode tip, there is also intense visible light, or radiation. There are 2 elements within the light of an arc, namely infrared rays and ultraviolet rays, both of which will cause harm to the unprotected eye. Looking directly into an arc without eye protection will result in serious eye damage and a painful condition known as arc eye. Even if you are not actually welding yourself, the reflected flash from a nearby arc can damage your eyes and cause arc eye. Eye protection is vital for both welders and for those working nearby. Flash screens should be erected around welding bays or work areas where arc welding operations are being carried out. Flash screens filter out harmful rays and protect other workers. The next hazard we need to discuss is that called flash burn, also known as arc burn. The same harmful rays that cause eye damage will also cause skin damage in much the same way as sunburn. Any part of your body exposed directly to the arc rays will receive massive radiation and the result will be flash burn. Covering all parts of your body with protective clothing during welding operations prevents flash burn. Another hazard associated with any welding operation is that of toxic fumes and gases. When the flux on a covered electrode burns, there is a chemical reaction that produces fumes and gas. In an open or well-ventilated area, these fumes may do no harm, as they quickly dispel into the atmosphere. In a closed area, the fumes can cause respiratory problems. It is for this reason that a welding bay should be fitted with an extraction unit or exhaust device in order to remove the fumes away from the welder's face. Always read the manufacturer's labels on electrode packages and follow the advice given regarding any precautions against the fumes generated by the flux or the metals being welded. Do not weld galvanized metal, that is, zinc-coated material, in a closed area, as the fumes are highly toxic. Metals containing copper, lead, and cadmium will produce highly toxic fumes during welding operation. Always consult your supervisor if you are not sure about a metal, and always follow the safety instructions. We have seen that there are 4 basic hazards that are directly related to arc welding operations: electric shock, eye flash, arc burn, and toxic fumes. There are other considerations of which you must also be aware. We begin with fire prevention. All welding operations generate one of the basic requirements for fire, namely heat. The sparks from welding can easily ignite any combustible material in the vicinity of the welding operation. Hot metalwork, carelessly positioned, and pieces of hot slag can add to the risk of starting a fire too. Always take the time to remove from the area anything that may ignite before you begin welding. Make sure that there is a fire extinguisher available in close proximity. Also, make sure that the extinguisher is of the correct type for the area you're in, and that it is in proper working order. Of course, it must be assumed that you have received instruction on how to use the fire extinguisher when the need arises. A word about welding of containers. As a general rule, one should not attempt any welding operation on a metal container. Ignitable gases and toxic vapors can be generated as a result of the welding heat, resulting in an industrial accident. Not all welding machines are mains-powered. Many are engine-driven. So let's discuss the safety aspects concerning this type. The exhaust from an engine can cause asphyxiating fumes, and for this reason, the unit must always be operated in a very well-ventilated area, preferably outdoors. Welding should be done well away from the machine so that sparks and spatter don't ignite the fumes coming from the fuel tank. Always follow the operator's instructions when using engine-driven welders. There is always the possibility of accidental burns occurring. Burns to the body can happen in 2 ways, namely from hot sparks or spatter, as this is known, or from the accidental handling of hot metal. Spatter can only affect you if you fail to wear your personal protective equipment, which we're going to discuss in the next section. Hand burns are prevented by not picking up any metal on or around the welding bay with your bare hands. The correct way to handle metal objects in the welding bay is with pliers or with tongs. If you want to lay aside a hot workpiece, then mark it with the word hot, so that someone else won't accidentally pick it up. Any burn to your skin should be treated promptly by your first aid attendant. Don't neglect any burn, even a small burn, as a secondary infection will set in, causing problems later.